Hi, I'm Erin from Journey to Handmade. I'm so glad you're here with me today on my video podcast where I talk all things knitting, quilting, sewing, crochet, tatting, woodworking, whatever I can come up with as a means to create a handmade wardrobe and create items for a handcrafted home. So I'm so glad you're here today to share my journey. Now, it is the new year, and I did take a bit of a break over Christmas to spend time with my family since I'm just getting started. And I learned something binge watching my knitting podcasts that you are supposed to talk knitting with tea. I was not aware of this fact, so my apologies. In episode 1, I am not drinking a tea or coffee beverage, but I remedied that this week. I have with me a vanilla rooibos, just in case you're curious, and very cool. I like teacups. Mugs and teacups are fantastic. But this teacup was my grandma's, so my grandma Vance's, so very special to me. So, anywho, this week I want to talk to you about project bags because this is a new revelation to me. I don't know where I've been living, but nobody filled me in. So all these years I've been knitting projects, and I'm always walking around with my projects in brown paper bags. If I'm lucky, a reusable grocery bag has worked great for me. I felt very fortunate. This last project I had was fitting in a mesh produce bag. And it all works great, except inevitably they break down, they tear, they rip, the needles go through them. That's happened to this one. And I just thought that's what everybody did. So it's not been a bother or worry. And I'm watching these knitting podcasts, and all of these gals are whipping out these project bags, and they're like, and now let me show you my socks. And look, it's in this bag from so-and-so. And I don't know how I've missed out. I truly don't. So anyway, I got home from vacation with my family and decided that I was casting on some new projects, and it felt like, now that I know what a project bag is, I don't want to use a brown paper bag. So I'm excited to share with you today that I have made my very own project bag. Isn't it cute? I'm such a fan. So this fabric, if you're curious, it is quilting fabric. And I did buy it. They were fat quarters, so it was good. My notes are over here. So when you see me glancing, it's because I'm making sure I remember the designers for the fabrics. So this one, it was a free pattern from Riley Blake. It's a cosmetics bag, but I did their large size, and it's the perfect size to house maybe a small shawl, definitely socks or mittens, which I'm very excited to get into in the year 2018. So anyway, just a surplus zipper. But this up here is the Hello My Friends line from Moda. It's new. It's super cute. It's got little retro telephones on some of the patterns. It's very sweet. Mine's just kind of hashes. And then on the bottom is Robert Kaufman, the Quilter's Linen. If you're interested, it's D#9864. So that's that. And the Hello My Friends is by Sandy Burvages. If you know how to say her name, I'd love to know. You could please fill me in. But it's super cute. And then the inside is also the Hello My Friends. It's just really cute. It makes me happy. And it's orange, which is one of my favorite colors. So my project bag, I was very excited about. So this is actually for a shawl I cast on in December. If you read my blog, journeytohandmade.com, you know I was excited to start the Project Peace shawl. And I did indeed start the Project Peace shawl, but you can see it did not finish up in December. It's like hardly started, the poor little thing. So it is on a very old pair of Susan Bates circular needles, which is unusual for me, but I had my Chow Goos with me, and my mom wanted to learn how to knit, and it just so happened she needed the needles that I had with me while we were visiting. So in honor of teaching my mother how to knit, I left her with my really good needles, came home, got the cheapo backup pair out to finish my shawl on. And when she comes and visits me next, I'll get my needles back and I'll give her one of my nicer pairs that I have that I think would work well for her project. So anyway, this is the project piece shawl. The yarn is a Malabrigo. It's the PA dress colorway. Again, it's on my blog. You can see if you're interested what I'm using. My husband picked it out. He thought it looked very Pacific Northwest and like something that would make me happy. So it's got a lot of orange and burgundy and like hunter and olive green, and I really like it. I wasn't sure how I'd feel about such a variegated yarn because I've typically stuck to really solid colors, maybe a little light heathering. So this is out of the box for me. So, and that's by Christina Campbell. She has the Healthy Knitter podcast, and it was really cool. She does a whole blog about how she's going to about different ways to find peace for the month of December. You can knit along, and my knit along is going to go quite into January and maybe February. But anyway, it is now housed in a project bag I'm very excited about. So I'm going to be making another one of these. And the next one I'm making, I didn't get to finish it, but that's perfectly fine. So this is the next one I'm making. It's going to be these fabrics. And so the top one is another Moda fabric. I really like Moda. So Moda, Riley Blake, and Robert Kaufman are right up my alley. So anyway, I was making a project bag, and then last night I came across, I was putting away some old clothes of mine that I had in a pile for Goodwill, and then I realized that the fabric was actually still really nice, and it actually fits perfectly some of the fabrics I've been looking for to make trousers for my boys. And so I was really excited, and I thought, well, instead of trying to find fabric and shop around for it, I'm just going to use what I've got. The sweaters are perfectly fine they'll be big enough to cut up, so I'm going to do that. But while I was in my closet, I rummaged around and I came across a tote bag that I was given back when I was a teacher. And this particular tote bag had kind of fallen into disrepair. The handle broke off, and then it had some other issues. And it basically was what I would call a blob bag. It was a massive blob, a huge bag, and you'd lose stuff in it, and you could never quite carry the bag right because it was a blob. It was very strange. So last night, what I did is I ripped the bag apart and I hacked off a bunch of fabric. I re-sewed it. Very out of the ordinary for me. I'm a patterns gal. I like to have a pattern and I like to stick to it because then I know what it's going to turn out like. When I'm winging it, I just don't know at the end if I'm going to have a project I like or if something's going to go terribly awry and I'm going to be upset that I wasted this fabric or the yarn or whatever I'm using. So anyway, I redid the tote bag and I actually really like it now. So this is my new bag. Oh, I forgot to mention the reason this happened is because my first project bag, this cosmetics bag, it said, the fabric I cut out was 14 inches wide. So I thought that'd be plenty big to house a sweater because I'm going to start knitting sweaters this year, I hope. And so I thought, well, I'll make this project bag. It'll be large enough for a sweater, and then I can put a sweater in it and start knitting and all that jazz. Well, it is not large enough for a sweater. It's, 2 skeins of yarn and a little knitting. So I put the shawl in here, but then I needed a sweater size bag, and that's where this beauty came in. So I took in the sides. I probably cut off a good 8 inches of fabric, and then I puckered it up so that it has a little more shape and it's not a blob, and then I attached it with these cute little buttons, and there we go. These buttons came out of my grandmother's collection, as did this one, so that makes me happy. The bottom is a bit wonky, but I did a little stitching across it to bring it in and make it a little less blobby, so there might have been better ways to do it, but it works and it's lovely. So inside of this. And a tangent, I found it really interesting, and I don't know if you've encountered this at all, or have noticed, but I thought this was a really lovely bag. It had some issues, apparently, so I needed to fix them, but I didn't have a problem with this bag. Until I started taking it apart. And as I was taking it apart, it is made in China, or it has a tag saying it was originally made in China. So as I was taking the bag apart, it really wasn't well made. I guess I was taught quilting by my mom, and my mom's quite a perfectionist. Her work is always perfect. I mean, every point lines up, every seam is always lined up. If she ever sews with a plaid or stripe, she always has it matching, and it's really incredible. I don't have the patience to be as precise as she is, but this thing was nothing matched. I mean, it's not even, the tops weren't even the same lengths. It was interesting to me because I try so hard to make my things really look professional, to take something that I thought was professional and deconstruct it and find out that it really wasn't that well constructed in the first place. So I just thought that was interesting. Don't know if you've seen that before, but anyway, I'm going to open it up and I'm going to show you what I cast on this year. I'm so excited. This is the first sweater I've done in a very long time. I had knit myself a number of sweaters, and none of them have fit very well. My first sweater, when I blocked it, it grew a ton. I'm going to investigate fibers this year, so this does not happen to me again, because I still don't know why this happened. Maybe you've had this happen and you could fill me in, but it fit. It was perfect. I blocked it. The thing grew like crazy, and then it didn't fit me anymore. So I've since frogged that and have that yarn to make something different with. And then after that, I thought, well, I'll make a really nice alpaca cardigan. I really like cardigans. So I knit that up, but it was asymmetrical. And it turns out asymmetrical cardigans on my body type just look funky. They don't lay right. And that wasn't lovely. And then I knit a couple other pullovers, and they were too short. I like to have my sweaters a little bit longer, and so that was just, they've all been so disappointing. I really have stopped for a while, but I cast on a sweater. This is called the Light Ease sweater. I'm going to hold you up. I only printed the tiny picture. It's by Alicia Plummer, and I love it. I'm so excited to have this pattern to wear. So I'm making it out of the Cascades Pima cotton yarn. I think I found out there were multiple versions. Mine's the Ultra Pima. So not super fancy, but the truth is I have 2 little boys at home, so my clothes don't stay really, really, really nice and clean, and I need to be able to throw them in the wash and not worry that I'm going to mess up a really exquisite fancy fiber by using something for everyday wear and tear, because that's what I am. I'm a mom. So anyway, so it's cotton, and I don't know if you can tell, I cast on at the new year, so I'm using this. I joined the oh goodness, what are they called? The Girls in the Yarn Cafe are having a bit of a knit along, January, February, March. Anything you're making for yourself, you can join the knit along, and then they're doing giveaways and stuff like that. So it sounds fun. Again, if you follow me on my blog, you know I am totally new to Ravelry. I've been on, but I just purchased patterns. I've never done groups or forums or stashes or anything fun like that. So I'm just getting my feet wet, and I thought, well, this sounds like a fun way to be motivated to have a deadline, end of March. So the top half, it's knit top down, and it's so easy. It's brilliant because it's the kind of project I can pick up. I can knit in the small moments where there's margins of time. I can be really super tired and I'm not going to mess up a complicated pattern, and it's perfect. So the top, I don't know how well you can see the color, but it's kind of a cross between oatmeal and gray. And I really like it. I wanted something very neutral that I could wear all of my colorful scarves with and my shawls. And then the body of the sweater is going to be this creamy white color. So it's going to be very neutral and um, laid back looking, but cotton. So it should make a good fall and spring sweater, which is I'm so excited. So actually, and this is the one that got my mom into the yarn shop with me and got her excited about knitting. So I'm really excited to have her as a knitting buddy. She's been my quilting buddy for a while. So, and so fun. You can see I'm finally getting to use some stitch markers that I had made years ago, and they're just simple. They're O-rings with beads attached to them, and I made them when I realized that this is something knitters have, and I didn't know when I'd ever use something like them because I usually just count the stitches and watch the pattern, and that works really well for me. But that's been fun. So there's that. Now, one thing about it is it is just rather plain. And I was talking with one of my friends, and you can't really tell how much you've worked on it because it at the moment it's just rather slow. So another thing I've been seeing along with project bags is I've been seeing that there are these things called progress keepers, and they're little charms you can hang off of a stitch, and then you can see how much you've knit that day or how much you've knit that week. And I thought that was just such an awesome idea. So in the spirit of making things myself, I thought, well, I'll make one myself. So I didn't want to do beads. I have beads, but my stitch markers are beads. So I thought, well, I've got some Sculpey clay, and I'll do a polymer clay little charm to stick on there. So I took apart a bracelet that I already had so that I could get the jewelry equipment for this. And it's my first time, but I made this little place marker, progress keeper, and it's a unicorn. And it's not actually because I'm not into unicorns, but my husband and I love board games and games of all kinds. And so we got on Kickstarter, we funded a game called Unstable Unicorns, and it is delightful. We have had so much fun playing that game. And so I saw a tutorial of how to make a little polymer unicorn, and it reminded me of the game, and I thought that was really exciting. I like how it turned out. My 2-year-old, his little remote control dump truck he got for Christmas kind of ran over my baby unicorn, so it lost its tail. I just need to glue that back on, and then I'm going to glaze it so it gets all shiny. But I tried it today, and everything's lovely. It's just too big. So apparently, progress keepers need to be quite small so they don't stretch out your stitches. So this is not going to be a progress keeper, even though that's what I made it for, and I think it's super, super cute. I mean, just, isn't that cute? I mean, I'll get better. It's my first one. But it was fun playing with clay again. I haven't done that since I was really little. And they were talking about, oh, you can use chalk and you can dust it and stuff. And so I put sorry, I keep putting it over to the side like that's where the camera is. That's not where the camera is. But I actually had chalk in my, goodness gracious. I actually had chalk in my art supplies. See, like his little feet? I just painted on with chalk. It's left over from my rubber stamping days, which I don't really do anymore, but I had it, so that was cool. So anyway, he's a little bit too big, so I think I'm going to attach him to a zipper pull on a project bag, and then I can still have him around, but I need to go smaller. So I did make, just for giggles and grins, I did attempt to make a little turtle. I need to still purchase the hardware. I don't have any more jewelry I can take apart at the moment, so I need to go buy the eye hook to be able to put a little key ring on him. He's the right size. So I think what I'm going to try to do is I'm going to try to make some really, really mini unicorns, because after playing Unstable Unicorns with my brother and my husband, it just has such a happy memory for me now. I really want to have those on my knitting because it's fun. And it's really cute to hear my 2-year-old talk about baby unicorns when he sees them. So there's that too. Now, okay, let's see. I'm looking at my notes. It's been a really long day, so pardon me for a moment. Okay, we talked about all of those. And, oh, I almost forgot. Oh, this was like the biggest thing. I was going to start with this. We'll put it in here. My top is something I have sewn for myself, and I love it. I've been wearing this top almost every day. Okay, every day that it's clean, I've been wearing it, and then I wash it, and then I wear it some more. I love it. It's called the Cheyenne Tunic, and I'll kind of stand up so you can see. I love it. It's the perfect length. If I can stand up a little bit higher, it's the perfect length that you can wear it with leggings, and it doesn't look like it doesn't. Sorry. Okay, just end that rabbit trail. It's the perfect length. It's long enough to wear with leggings in my wardrobe ideals, and but it's short enough that if you wear it with the normal jeans, it doesn't look like you put a dress on with jeans. And I made it out of Robert Kaufman's plaid flannel, and it is so cozy and warm. I never knew a flannel could be this warm. I just remember the days when my mom would make me pajamas and my nightgowns were flannel, and they never felt like this. This Robert Kaufman flannel is really, really nice. So I love how it turned out. I still love everything about it. It's perfect. It is perfect. I did guess when I made the size. I made it when I was pregnant, and so I couldn't try it on or anything. So afterwards, I did have to take an inch off of each side, an inch in. So I guess I took 4 inches off total, because it was quite a bit bigger than I intended. But that was my fault for not reading the pattern sizes right. I really like it. It's the first time that I've ever done plackets. So I'll show you on a sleeve. That's a little less awkward than the chest area. So where you do it, and it looks like that. With this, it makes it look really like it's store-bought, which I think is really fun. So, anywho, that's that. And I think that's the stuff I really wanted to talk about with you today as far as sharing things goes. And I thought at the end of each video, log, podcast, whatever we are calling this, I wanted to save that time to share a couple discoveries with you, because my one little word for 2018 is discover. And I feel like that is partly a challenge to myself, to look into things and discover new skills, discover new things, kind of give myself permission to try stuff I haven't tried before, and challenge myself to attempt things I've maybe been too nervous about doing before. And I just thought it just feels so good. It feels so right with the age my kids are at. It feels so right with just our stage of life and what we're up to, and I'm really excited. So there's going to be some random things I hope to discover this year. Geocaching is one. I've heard about it, and I've always wanted to try. It has nothing to do with crafting. I just think it's like a scavenger hunt for grown-ups. And I'm a grown-up, and I like scavenger hunts, so it seems like a good idea. So some stuff like that. It also, I'm just hoping to discover maybe some new authors, some new crafting things. Like I'd like to learn how to do Fair Isle knitting. I've done color work before, particularly a lot of the Scandinavian designs. I have Scandinavian heritage, so that's always been kind of a fun project for me. But I'm thinking some Fair Isle could be fun. I've heard a lot of people talking about brioche knitting, and I'm curious. So I thought, oh, that could be fun. I found a shawl pattern for that. Um, I'd like to. I'd also like to discover some people in my local community who do handmade sorts of things. We moved to the Chicagoland area about 2.5 years ago, and compared to Seattle, it's not as crafty as what I was used to. And I've already been exploring the knitting podcasts quite a bit, Ravelry, that sort of thing. So I also this year am going to be spending quite a bit of time trying to figure out fibers. I've been really interested in getting back into possibly spinning. I've got a spinning wheel. I have used it very little and I've liked it. I just don't really feel like I know what I'm doing very well. So I'd like to figure out some different yarns, kind of what the difference is between different types of wools, like Shetland wool versus other types, Wensleydale. I don't. That's the second time today that's popped into my head. Yes, Wensleydale yarns. Anyway, some fiber knowledge. So I'll share some here if I come across some interesting stuff. Otherwise, a lot of my random discoveries I'll be sharing on my blog as well, Journey to Handmade, because that's where I share my journey to making handmade things. So that's fun. Please feel free to subscribe, to like, to comment, especially to comment. I think that's just so fun when people do that. So anyway, I hope you have a wonderful rest of your day, and thanks for watching.